Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Card Show. We are joined by the one and only Rainy, or as it says there, Ben, aka FKA Rainy, even FK Rainy, the man, the myth, the legend. Uh, Again, it's your third appearance on the pod. It's a
Yeah,
three-peat. It's just a three-peat.
that's it.
Something the Chiefs could never do. It still hurts. It still hurts. Yeah, honored to have you on. Obviously, a good friend of the channel, a friend of mine, and yeah, I think I was reminiscing the other day about people that have been involved in videos, and we did the challenge up at MCC. I think it was two, maybe three. Do you remember
Yeah.
that challenge we did? Yeah, we had some fun times. We had some fun times. It's good to have you on the pod and catch up and let people know what's been going on with yourself, and and we'll talk stuff about the hobby, won't we? Talk, get in the nitty gritty as always.
Let's go. And I just want to say thank you very much for that beautiful introduction. I feel
I have to introduce you in a good way. I mean, you're a legend in the game. I think you're an unsung legend of the game. I think what you've done for the past 3 years in the hobby, especially with the shows, with the pods, with people may not know about is you help people with. Obviously, you actually helped. You put in the name for this podcast. You helped with graphics for myself, for other people. So yeah, people don't know about stuff you do inside the hobby as well, which helps a lot of people. So yeah, unsung hero.
yeah, I'll take that, man. I hope there's an award.
Or maybe it should be, yeah, the unsung hero award.
Yeah, I'll have to have a chat with Jordan from Scotland Card Show out of the UK and Ireland Card Awards, which just want to give a shout out to Jordan. You say that I'm an unsung hero. He's definitely one. Really looking forward to the Scotland Card Show and the Collector Showcase in November, which is where the next UK Card Awards will be held.
Yeah, that's a massive move by Jordan to
Uh,
because he's no what he's done for Scotland up there is crazy, and now he's bringing them vibes down to London, pretty much central London as well. So like slap bang London, yeah, it's gonna be crazy. Good way to end the year as well for a lot of people. So
yeah, I'll be definitely making a weekend of it. And like you say, it's all about them good vibes. And what Jordan's done really well is he's built that brand now. He's got that clientele, whether it's the vendors and sponsors or the people who walk through the door. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see a card show in the heart of London at the Olympia, which is an absolutely stunning venue. It just shows that, in terms of card shows, that we are on the verge of something big. Bigger isn't always necessarily better,
of
but
course.
collectors have been calling out for a card show in the heart of London. So I'm looking forward to see what Jordan does with the collectors showcase, and as well as the XL in London for the spring show at London Card Show. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
mad times. It's going to be a big weekend. I think it's going to bring a lot of new faces into the hobby, especially for those people who are on the periphery of collecting, or they haven't got much of an awareness. All it takes is you doing a Google search, or somehow the algorithm sucks you in and into the likes of and show.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, it's going to be interesting with the London car show being itself. Obviously Friday to Sunday as well. Big 3 dayer. It's very interesting to see the sort of the split of tables for starters. I do think maybe it's going to be like a 70-30 Pokemon TCG sort of thing, just to feel it sort of thing. So then, does it then sort of feel like an anime con sort of thing, or one of them sort of things because of that? But yeah, like kudos for trying it. We won't know until we get there, and hopefully not. Hopefully, sports tables do sell quickly, and people want to be involved in it, and it can be better, more of a closer 50-50 split.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it tells you a little story that, the fact that all TCG tables sold out at London Card Show in 22 minutes, and the queue to reserve and pay for tables was taking approximately 1 hour or so. So it shows the demand. I mean, what are your thoughts on it? Does it show that the hobby is expanding, that there's more eyes on the hobby? Or, me playing devil's advocate, does it show that there is maybe too many vendors? Or, is it a simple case of watching it unfold and, seeing what kind of history is written?
I think it's a bit of all the above. I think it's going to be people that are just new to the hobby, or maybe get their friends involved and family, sort of get involved. I've seen a lot of like couples now come into the hobby, together. So I think which is nice. But yeah, I do think it's like a progression in it. People sort of come into hobby, all of a sudden, especially get into breaks, you end up having so many cards because you bought so many spots. So then all of a sudden you're like, oh, should I get a vendor table and try and sell some of these cards? And then you just all of a sudden you're a vendor, you're a seller. So yeah, it's like a weird sort of cycling, a weird cycle some people to do. But yeah, I'm happy for this. I mean, I said 22 minutes is for TCG. Was it 500 plus tables? More for TCG? It was mental.
Yeah, which is crazy. So I've got to tip my hat to what Harry's done. Especially when you look at how London Card Show has grown. It's simply the case that he's not gone from the bottom step and tried to jump all the way to the top step. It's taking it a step at a time and understanding that it's a journey. And I certainly can relate to that with the Manchester Card Convention. First and foremost, I think the most important thing is you've got to build that brand. You've got to really understand your clientele and build that level of trust as well, on a business level, but also a friendship level as well. And I always compare the Manchester Card Convention to other shows, and then I've quickly got to snap out of it and understand that we are effectively still in our infancy, and people may look at card shows, or they may be a card show organizer like myself, and think, wow, we've got to go kaboom, we've got to go big time. And it sounds cliche, but you've got to learn how to walk before you run a marathon. But the way that I'm treating it is, it's more like a ultra marathon, or maybe like Marathon des Sables, in that runs across the Sahara Desert. It's going to be a lengthy journey, and it's just all about making those tweaks and making those 1% improvements. And that's what I've seen with a handful of the reputable card shows in the UK. They're not biting off more than what they can chew. And I've seen that, with London. I've seen that with Scotland. I've seen that with the Yorkshire Card Show as well. Which I did vend at the last Yorkshire Card Show. It was the first time that I dipped my toes in the water for 2 years or so. And that it's crazy to see, because I've been to the Yorkshire Card Show on the other side of the table, attendee. So for me to go back to being a vendor at the Yorkshire Card Show last month, which had 170 tables, whereas the last time that I was a vendor there was in spring 2023, and there's probably 60 to 70 tables. So
Jesus,
it must be a pinch me moment for everyone who's followed those journeys, who've been regular vendors or being regular attendees, to see that right now the hobby certainly is under the microscope. There's a lot more eyes on it. There's positives and negatives to that, of course.
Yeah, it's interesting. I said this on the pod the other week about how when Fanatics was saying, "Oh, we're going to 10x hobby and bring, we're going to market it properly," we've seen this now, and we've seen so many more eyes and so many more celebrities that are bringing into it. And I think it has its pluses, obviously, but it also has its negatives. But to be a card show host, which I'm not gonna lie to you, I would. It just doesn't appeal to me because of the stress involved in it. Like, I applaud you guys so much, because, like I said, that you have to make these 1% tweaks each time to get it right. Because if you don't, someone else is there doing a show, and people just won't come no more. So yeah, you have to adjust in this market of more people coming into it. People are going to want certain things because of the limelight they're getting from celebrities. Do you feel there's a pressure for you to get like people to sign stuff there now? Now I've seen so many athletes in it. Did you feel there's a pressure on you guys to get that to happen now at every show, sort of thing, or not so much?
For me personally, no, because
that's good.
It's important to stay in your lane, but on the flip side, be inspired by what other card show organisers are doing. For me, the most important thing about Manchester Card Con is it's a card show. The bells and whistles that we started to see at a couple of card shows is great to see, but I want to get it as near perfect as possible in terms of the mix and blend of vendors and businesses that do turn up. You know, I still take a lot of time curating what type of vendor or business is at the Manchester Card Con. So, you know, for example, I've always said that I want as near as possible a 40-60 split sports TCG. But then also when you look in between the lines, I think it's incredibly important that when you've got sports vendors, you've got a mix of sports that are represented at the show as well. So, you know, I will always push it as much as possible to have a couple of baseball vendors. You know, if I could have my own way, being a massive baseball fan, you know, there'd be a lot more. But the market is effectively swaying towards soccer collectors, which makes me feel a little bit dirty calling it soccer. So going forward, we will call it football. People are crying out to buy football cards, and even though, you know, at the last Manchester Card Con we had 35 tables of sport, which, you know, across 100 tables that we had, I think it's good representation and split. You know, and across those 35 tables, we had 18 tables full of football. But, you know, the feedback that I got is attendees want even more. So that's something that I've pushed. So the mix is massively important. You know, and last time out, we had a hockey vendor, you know, which isn't seen much.
Rare. Yeah, it's rare.
Yeah, got good feedback from that vendor, you know, about, you know, in making good sales, but also meeting a lot of like-minded people, as well as people who have never bought or even being interested in buying a hockey card. But, you know, that's where it starts. It's sort of like, it's probably not the best comparison, but a show for me, it's like when you curate what kind of artwork is on display in a museum.
Okay.
You don't want the same repeated pattern. A little bit like, you know, when there's a chase on Scooby-Doo and you see a clock, a table, a door, a clock, a table, a door, over and over and over, and it's that repeated process which just get quite stale. But even with TCG vendors, you know, it's not all about getting as many Pokemon vendors under the same roof, because that's going to have an adverse effect on the vendors that turn up. You know, they could be satisfied. You know, they turn up and you've got 50 tables of Pokemon, and you've only got 2 other tables that sell Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic the Gathering, or, you know, more recently, you know, massively popular One Piece. You know, you're going to have a lot of Pokemon vendors who are going to be unhappy, because there's just too much competition in the room. But to get back on track, and, you know, with answering your question, you know, I just think it's important to stay in your lane, be inspired by what other people are doing, but don't aspire to be just like them, because there's a lot of diversity when it comes to the hobby, and there's a lot of diversity in the UK as well. You know, London is completely different to Manchester. You know, Glasgow or Edinburgh are completely different to one another, and even Birmingham, and more recently, you know, Newcastle, which I, you know, had a little taste of. So yeah, be inspired by what other people do, but don't aspire to have exactly the same show as, you know, other people, because, you know, I make, you know, a prime example, you know, London Card Show is the mecca of shows in the UK and Europe.
Yeah.
And you can't have a carbon copy of what Harry and his team are doing, because, you know, you just can't replicate it. That's in its own entity. And, you know, that's a really positive thing that I'm saying there. Let London Card Show be London Card Show. Let all the other... It's sort of like having a theatre club. You know, like Manchester City, for example. You know, those
theatre card shows.
Yeah, you can gain a lot from those card shows, but, you know, we're in a really good place at the moment. I'll always say this, that there are too many card shows in the UK. It's not sustainable. But, you know, I think there is, you know, a good 7 to 8 mixed card shows that are absolutely corking. You know, they are great. They are in different parts of the UK. And, you know, further to that, you know, I think, you know, what Mark at Sports Card Social has done is fantastic as well. that's actually giving the people what they want, which is sports only.
Yeah. It's interesting. I want to go back here. You said about you can't sort of replicate London. London. You can't do it. Do you think? Because obviously that's the only show that Harry and the team do. So do you think they couldn't do that for Scotland, Lisbon, Paris? Do you think they couldn't?
100%. 100%. Yeah. So anyone could do that. If you snooze, you lose, don't you? You need to get on the map. You need to get into the market as soon as practicable, but apply, some intelligence and some really rational, thinking and a good business plan behind that. Because we've seen it both being Manchester based. There's for me, there's a lot of shows in Manchester. But I wish everyone who gets involved in puts on a show as an organizer and a director, whatever title you want to apply to that. It's nice to have it spread out, but it's nice to also have a gap on the calendar. I'll say, this being very candid, which, I don't think it's very fair on collectors. There's only so much money in the room. We've got Manchester Card Con on the 12th of July. That's where the plug-in starts and stops. But then the weekend before, we've also got another card show on in the Northwest. So, there's only so much money in the room. And, people will only go to so many shows. So it's nice to have that break. But I think, when we look at other European countries, I mean, you've mentioned Lisbon. I'm sure there is a show in Lisbon.
Yeah.
You look at France, Germany, Italy, there's a hotbed of collectors there, but there's nowhere near as many card shows. Do I think that there could be more in those three countries I've just mentioned? Definitely. The market is there. So, why not give it a go? I think you got to give things a try, and then you got to reflect and also think that is it worth going ahead with it, and I've seen that myself. Unless you give it a try, you will never know.
Yeah. Do you think Europe, because obviously it's the size of it, do you think Europe will ever get something similar to a national? So having an international, or the national comes over to Europe, sort of thing.
Well, knowing the sheer size of the XL in London, maybe that could be happening in spring next year. I do believe that it will happen in London. Let's see what happens in spring next year and what London Card Show do. That's something that it really does excite me. I'm really excited to see what happens and what takes place, and what happens next after that. I mean, what do you think? Do you think we are on the cusp of having a national size show in Europe?
I don't think so, because of the days. Like, the national goes on pretty much a whole week. I just don't think Europe could do that. I think we could do something similar. I think, like I said, the London for 3 days is a massive step. If you can get that Friday busy, like proper busy, I just don't think people would do it on like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday over here or in Europe. But a 3-day, I'd love to see that happen. And I'd love it to move around Europe as well each year. Call it the European, call it the international, what you want to call it. But give it on that sort of same stage as national. Make sure you've got loads of people signing. Make sure it's full of stuff, massive space, and move it. One year it could be Munich, next year it can be in Amsterdam. The year after that can be in England. The year after that can be in Ireland. Just give us something like that, so we don't have to spend like ridiculous amount of money going to the national every year. Because I personally don't think it's worth the money.
No, I mean, I can't compare it to anything, because I've never been to the national. But I can envision something similar to the national in the UK or Europe, where it's in similar vein to Edinburgh Fringe, so the comedy festival. So have a lot of smaller events leading up to it or around the weekend of it, so Friday to Sunday. That could take place at Fanatics Collectibles store, or it could take place in other small venues. You could have keynote speakers. You can imagine it, can't you? Some really reputable people from the hobby. Just thinking of one just off the top of my head. So you could have Gary Vaynerchuk talking about his journey into collecting and giving some really solid and honest advice, which I do believe that he would do. Some of the other influencers, no, I wouldn't trust them to look after.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, but I wouldn't trust them to look after my youngest child for 5 minutes. So I know it sounds a little bit harsh, but I feel more so because of what the
Harsh but true. Yeah,
I'm not wrong. I am not wrong. But yeah, I think something like Edinburgh Fringe, apply that to not just card collecting, but collectibles in general. And that'd be really cool, be quite edgy, and it could be the answer to, it could be the hobby's answer to Comic-Con.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely one route we could go. It probably would, but yeah, I said it was probably one of the, maybe not the easiest, but probably the best route to go. Getting collectibles, sports memorabilia, all under one roof. So you're getting crossovers as well that people are going to be interested in sport. I think it's an easier sell when you try to tell people already buy sort of football boots or jerseys, etc., to then buy cards than it is to get people who buy Pokemon cards to then buy sports cards. So it probably is a better route. I want to just touch there. You mentioned Gary Vee. I know Gary Vee is responsible for getting a lot of people, especially in the UK, into the hobby. I don't know if it was your influence to get you in the hobby, but obviously VeeFriends Chrome, not long been out. Yeah, if people have seen your post, they know you're hunting a certain dino for your little son's collection. Is this his first collection? Is his first PC?
He doesn't even know about it. So he's only 2 years old.
His passed down PC.
I mean, when it comes to my collecting journey, I've collected literally everything. Whether it's trading cards or other things outside of trading cards, football shirts, vinyl records, which I know that you collected as well. I still do collect vinyl records as well.
They're in this room now. Behind me, happy. Yeah, I'm happy they're in another room for so long, and they're right here with me. Got some beauties there. It's still sealed as well, so I need to just either break the seal and play them and just sit back, or send them to Grady. I don't say. I mean, that weird mind of what they do with them.
No, I mean, I do like playing them. I've got a first press of the Stone Roses debut album. It still plays. It's crystal clear. If I've got a vinyl record, I've got to play it. But I don't make a habit of doing that because of how old that particular record is now. But yeah, VeeFriends, Gary Vaynerchuk, he's been one of like several influences. I'd say going back to my late 20s, so well over a decade ago now. And although he is quite brash and brazen and bolshy in the message that he gives out, there's a lot of content that I see from him where it's massively inspired me. And that's something that I've applied to the Manchester Card Con, as well as understanding that I'm quite a unique person. I don't think you're going to meet anybody like me in the hobby. And what I mean by that is you've ultimately got to be true to yourself. So, we see that with Gary Vaynerchuk, and one quote of his, which, has given me a lot of inspiration to, start the Manchester Card Convention and understand that community is key. If you've got no community, nothing else falls into place. So that quote is, regret is poison. He said that many years ago now. I don't want to certainly be the type of person, and this is in all avenues of my life, where I'm lied on my hospital bed. I'm very sick. I know I'm on the, I'm sort of at that crossroads about whether I'm going to survive or whether I'm going up to heaven. I truly believe that I'm going to heaven. today, because this is not a religious podcast, but getting back on track. What I mean by that is, I don't want to be too unwell. I'm not necessarily on my hospital bed or in a hospice bed about to pass away, but where I'm at an age where I can't apply myself to do particular things, whether it's endurance type things, which is one reason why I'm taking a few steps back from the hobby, even though I'm still massively involved in it. But also with business ventures as well, or even, hobbies or interests. I do think that, me and you, we could effectively say that we're near to half of our life being behind us, with only another 50% of our life ahead of us. But
touch wood, hopefully not.
No,
I've got more than 50. I like a good.
And with the
60-odd%.
yeah, mate. Oh gosh, I feel really old now.
Me too. It might make me think about it. I was like, oh God, he's right. Yeah, that's horrible.
So,
50% of life.
That's why you've got to make the most of every moment. That's why you've got to enjoy every moment as well. And with Gary Vaynerchuk, there's numerous things that I've been involved in his. I went to an event several years ago in London, which cost me an absolute fortune. Didn't get to meet him directly, but it's one of those pinch me moments where the message that he advocates, it's like, yeah, it's in your face, but I like that kind of thing, and I think that's sort of the type of person that I've been over the years. I can be in your face, I can be very honest. I think honesty is the most important trait in life. But with VeeFriends, I know we've had the Topps Chrome release. I absolutely adore it. I liked Series 1 and Series 2 of VeeFriends. I don't own any Series 1 because of the sheer cost of each individual card. In a sealed box of that, is typically selling for $10,000 upwards. That's if you see it on the market. I think there's one on eBay at the moment. But no, I just like the fact that Gary Vaynerchuk, he's got a very positive outlook and philosophy on life, and I like how he's applied that to the VeeFriends universe as well, because that's something that's it's becoming, whether it's around positivity and, ambition, self-awareness, growth, humility, and applying those to characters. That's great. And the one character that I absolutely love for two reasons. One, the character is Dynamic Dinosaur. You got to be dynamic in life. You've got to know that you've got to be ready for any variations or any challenges that you come your way, whether it's in your personal or work life. Life is constantly changing and you've got to adapt and evolve with it. And two, the other reason why I love Dynamic Dinosaur is because my son is obsessed with dinosaurs. I know that a lot of kids around that age are, but he's got the lot. I mean, little disclosure, I won't show you on camera because I just don't want to do it, but I actually got a Dynamic Dinosaur tattoo on my arm.
Oh,
yeah, just a little glimpse. Where is it? There. So that's how much I love the product, that I've actually got a tattoo. Yes, I'm absolutely mad. Tell me something that I don't know. But I mean, what's your view on Topps Chrome VeeFriends? Because it's just skyrocketed the value of it. I mean, even the base cards are typically selling for £5 to £7, and that's for the lesser popular characters. The parallels, the price on them are insane. I've spent a lot of money on those Dynamic Dinosaur parallels, but I know that I'm going to put them away for my son when he gets older. They'll have been graded and he might have absolutely no interest in those cards. He might hate cards, but it'll be something sentimental just for him to keep, even if he just puts them away and lets them gather dust.
Yeah. You never know, he might pass one down to his child and so forth and so on. So my thoughts, I'm similar with you. Like, I think Gary Vee is a very inspirational, motivational speaker. He definitely has a very loyal following. And I think those people really believe in everything he does, every project he does. So VeeFriends, they believe it's going to go as far as he's going to take it. They think it's going to be the next Disney, the next Pokemon sort of thing. So it's definitely got legs. I think you need to get in the early stages. Like you said, see the first lot is £10,000 for a sealed box or $10,000. The Chrome is a better product than the paper ones release prior. So it goes to show this probably could be a big one in the future, where this could be going for 10, 20,000 if you've got sealed case of this sort of thing. But yeah, I think the cartoon. I think you got the cartoon now on the train journeys to Disneyland. I read somewhere that that's what he's done now. So when you're on your train journey, you're going to Disneyland. So it's going to be in the kids. I think it's very inspirational, very uplifting for kids. Like I said, Dinosaur. My character that I like is the hustling hamster, because I'm a hustler out here. So the hustling hamster for me. And let's face it, even had a hamster as a kid. Where's a hamster? I had a cool hamster as a kid. So yeah, hustling hamster. That's me right there. So yeah, I think it's definitely worth getting involved in. If you're an investor, for sure, I think there's going to be a lot of plays to be made because of the Vaynerchuk army. And I think there will be a sort of push towards this sort of stuff in the future, sort of characters, rookie cards, so to speak.
Yeah.
We've seen it with Marv, haven't we, over the years? So yeah, this sort of stuff, it wouldn't surprise me if this is massive in 5, 10, 20 years.
I'm really confident that it will be. I don't think it will go down the MetaZoo path. We've seen that with, I think, well, not just that thing, that I believe that Gary Vaynerchuk's input into the Topps Chrome set, it's been massively important. It's not a supply and demand product. There is only going to be one print of Topps Chrome VeeFriends. The scarcity on the market tells you all that you need to know. The fact that I tried to get a sealed hobby box to keep back, not for investment purposes, just to keep for me. It went live on Topps UK's website, and on the dot, it was already sold out. I mean, we can have that conversation about bots, whether they're responsible, but hey. But I've not necessarily seen that, because you've not seen a lot of sealed hobby boxes
resale.
On eBay in the UK. And those that you've seen, I mean, it retailed at £120, and the boxes are typically selling for £400 upwards at the moment. There's not been many people breaking it. I've actually only seen 2 people break it in the UK. One of them is Vintage. I don't know if you're familiar with Vintage, but they've been breaking it on a regular basis. So I've been getting involved in a lot of their breaks to pick up the dynamic dinosaurs. I bought other spots as well, and the cards are absolutely fantastic. It's like I say, Gary Vaynerchuk's approach has been really intelligent. His input into the products has been great. The fact that it's all characters that have effectively been part of his imagination once upon a time, and the inserts as well. So we've got the Y2K inserts, which are a throwback to the Pokemon Topps cards from, I think it was 2000. We've got the 1975 insert, which is a nod to Gary V's favorite baseball set, which was 1975 Topps baseball. And we've also got, I don't know if you've seen the Erupt case hits. It's actually lesser than a case hit. So you're only getting an Erupt insert case hit, 1 in every 3 cases. And the person who designed those Erupt case hits is the artist for the first Kaboom cards. So there's been a lot of thought put into this product. It's massively scarce at the moment. We've got Topps Chrome VeeFriends Sapphire, which released, but there's only been 555 boxes produced, and after that, there's not going to be any more VeeFriends until 2026. And there's a hell of a lot more characters that weren't in the first release. So, I mean, do you think the market's only going to increase with VeeFriends, or do you think it'll subside? Do you think it'll reduce, or will it be anything like Pokemon? I mean, can we make those comparisons with Pokemon now, that in another 20-25 years time, these VeeFriends cards from the first Topps Chrome release are going to be worth a hell of a lot of money? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think so. I said if he's going to continue to push it, I think a big factor is Gary Vee. If he stays fit and healthy for 20 plus years, I think his drive, his passion, his determination will see it be up there with the Pokemon sort of thing. It's going to be up there. It will be. So he wants to be up there with Walt Disney, and he will push it and push it, push it. There's going to be interesting is when Sapphire comes out, the price of Chrome. Do we need to see a bit of a dip because it's great? There's time to buy and hold for the future because Chrome will still be the first, technically, of the better products. That's going to be the biggest one. Does Chrome recover after Sapphire releases? So, because everyone loves Sapphire, let's be honest, Sapphire is the more premium than it's just more premium. So that could top Chrome and knock off his perch and be the one to go for, but Chrome will always be the first. So that'll be interesting.
There is that, there is that, and even on the cards, each character's got it says VF first Chrome, so it's in similar vein to first Bowman.
Yeah.
So I think they will hold that premium. I'll be praying to God that it doesn't go down the MetaZoo path. I don't think it will do because of the VeeFriends universe that we see. There's a lot of other merchandise. There's VeeFriends cartoons, comics more recently.
Yeah, hats, hoodies to do. Yeah, you go on that website. It's so much. I said the comics. There's so much to doing.
Yeah, exactly. The merchandise isn't cheap. There's definitely a demand for it. I mean, with the scarcity, do we look at that as being a problem? Personally, I don't, because I made that reference about supply and demand. I mean, football being a prime example of it, the number of football releases we're seeing, especially from Topps, and this isn't a dig at Topps, maybe the demand is there, but I do wonder whether the demand... Well, I think the supply is outweighing the demand because you only have to go onto Whatnot and there's people breaking cases of the Topps Chrome UCC, and some of those guys are still sat there 12 hours later waiting for a case to fill. So maybe the actual supply is outweighing the demand, and so that's why I think that VeeFriends, there's not going to be any more cards going to print from that release. There's only going to be 2 releases this year for VeeFriends as well. So, it's going to have that scarcity, and I like that. I like the fact that I've picked up several of the Dynamic Dinosaur parallels, and they're going to be put away. And other than those Dynamic Dinosaurs, the only other card that I'd never sell or part way with is the Ken Griffey Jr. 89 Upper Deck that has been signed and authenticated by PSA. Anything else can go, but I would be absolutely devastated if those VeeFriends or the Ken Griffey Jr. signed rookie were to be destroyed or stolen.
Yeah, especially with it being for your kids as well. Like, it definitely puts it in a position where it can't be, can it? It can't be. Probably would it hurt you? Like I said, when you give it to him at 18, he says, "Yeah, I'm not interested. I want to sell him." Would that hurt you a little bit or not?
Yeah, but it's his decision. I mean, I'd be hurting inside, but I'd never express that I'm disappointed. I mean, ultimately, it's a gift, and if you're being gifted something, you can do whatever you want with it. If it's not for you and you sell it on, and I'm not saying invest it in something. I mean, it might be the case that he's 18, which is another 16 years down the line, and he could actually sell them on. Especially if they are deemed as an investment piece, which I truly believe that VeeFriends Topps Chrome will be. If he sells it, then invest it in something else. Let's say, for example, buys him a car or gets put towards a deposit for a house. I'll be absolutely buzzed. Inside, I'll be hurting a little bit, but it's sort of like like your parents or your grandparents usually say, like, when you get something that whether it's Christmas time or a birthday present, and you don't really appreciate it, and they come out with the quote, "Oh, it's the thought what counts."
Yeah,
let's just hold on to that. So I'm sure that I'd think that it's been very, very thoughtful, but it ain't my thing. I don't like cards. I'm selling them.
Yeah, that would hurt. I'm not gonna lie. All that years of saving, get them all graded, get them all sorted through, and bring out a nice little binder or something of all, and it's like, yeah, I don't like this sort of stuff. I'm like,
And to be fair, I just remembered. Am I right in thinking that did you purchase any of the MetaZoo Chrome when it was released?
no, not the Chrome.
Ah, so you bought the paper.
Yeah, I was like early MetaZoo. I've got like, funny enough, I just sent one off to AGS grading, Robo grading, AGS. Yeah.
Okay, and what's the market like for MetaZoo, even though it's gone kaput?
Yeah, well, it's actually back. They're actually back. They got investment again. Yeah, they got. I'm in the Discord, so yeah, they got investment. The back. They're doing out designs all the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, back from the brink. It's like the rise of the ashes from the phoenix. That's what it is. Yeah? They're back, baby. They're back, baby.
No,
But
to be fair, it was a shame that they called it a day, but it's back in action. That's great. It'd be it'd be interesting to see.
they did what you just talked about with Tops then, like too much. She was, because don't forget, the whole premise when it started was like cryptic, mythological sort of creatures, and all of a sudden they sort of like ran out a little bit and started doing randomy stuff, and it just kind of lost its way a little bit. I think they should have kept the core of these cryptic creatures that we know and love, where it's Loch Ness or Bigfoot, etc. And they're the ones that you do variants of. You don't have to do so much, but maybe they'll learn in the future. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. But yeah, they did too much. I mean, brings us on to another topic. Do you think we're in this like over pushing out products sort of decade now? Do you reckon now the Tops are pretty much taking over?
In response to that, look at how many Hendrick rookie cards.
Many for which team? Yeah, for which team?
Oh yeah, I mean, Eris, isn't it?
Yeah.
But look at how many Yamal rookie autos we've seen. It's crazy. And I always compare it to Ken Griffey Jr. He had, I think it was 12 rookie cards, and that was back in '89. If people aren't familiar with who I am, yes, I'm a Ken Griffey Jr. fanboy, to the point where I actually changed my middle name to Griffey by deed poll.
Is that true? Is that a true story?
100%. Yeah, I've got the deed poll as well.
Yeah.
So
maybe I should change mine. Seems I'm like a Mahomes fanboy.
Yeah, you should do, mate. I'll have to pay for the deed poll if you're offer.
Enough problems at the moment with deed poll and my name, I tell you.
Yeah,
that's another story of a time. But
yeah. There's too much overprinting for me. Ken Griffey Jr. only had a dozen or so rookie cards, and that was during the junk wax era. When Benyama's got over 80 cards, 80. And yeah, I think it's an issue personally, because I'm a massive advocate of flagship releases. So whether it's Chrome, Prism, I make an exception for Select, which is a beautiful product. I love the die cuts in Select, and I'll give an exception to Sapphire as well because it's a beautiful product. But outside of those, 4 releases, I'm not necessarily interested in anything else that gets released. But I guess it's a little bit of FOMO. We see that with the addictive side of the hobby. I've certainly got an addictive personality, and I've made reference to this on my Instagram a few days ago that last year it was 14k that I spent on Whatnot last year, and genuinely, I don't think I've even got 1/14 to back in our the R isn't there, but junk wax era, too early to tell whether we're entering that, but we see it with the team sets. The value isn't there, for the secondary market. If and Palacio, Real Madrid as well, whom what a box is selling for £700.
Yeah.
And absolutely fantastic. I mean, I'd love to rip one, but I'd only rip one with the intention of actually keeping the cards. In Real Madrid, the dynasty that they created, and the fact that some of my favourite all-time players have played for Real Madrid, Raúl and R9 Ronaldo. And I raised this conversation with a friend only yesterday that an R9 Ronaldo, I think it was number 250, or from Palacio, I think it sold for $600. Whereas, absolute legend of a player, my favourite player, I bought a signed boot of his that's being authenticated for half the price, which, it just stumps me. But yeah, we've got too many releases, team sets, these individual and, these online exclusive, or what I don't like that Fanatics have done recently is store exclusives.
But yeah.
Personally, I don't think it's store exclusive. It's breaker exclusive, because if it's store exclusive, where we're getting all the Fanatics payroll break, and breaking these products, I can't work it out. That's the thing. One thing that is the reason why I stepped back from, or took a few step backs from being as heavily involved in the hobby, is I just think the transparency and authenticity isn't there like it used to be. I just think it's a very complicated space at the moment. So for me, it's about streamlining what collecting means for me, which is ultimately collecting what the hell I want without any outside influences. And we see that with the number of sets that are being released now. I just don't think the transparency is there, because absolutely every release that we see, it's like the next best thing. It gets shoved down our throats. So yeah, I think we are on the verge of it being a Junk Wax era marked. What are your thoughts? Because I'm actually interested in hearing what you think. I don't want you just to think out loud as well, because it is I'm being questioned.
Hey, this is the people's podcast. This is the people's podcast. What? Yeah, you know what I think. Yeah, there's a lot of products at the moment. It's horrible. It's horrible. I don't even like some of the designs of tops at the moment either. Like, especially with NFL for myself. Was it Resurgence? What it was called? And I can't remember what it was called. Was it Cosmics? What that it was called?
Yeah, I know which product you mean.
Yeah, they're just releasing these random products. I don't think the design's that good.
No.
Even the basketball stuff, like the jerseys just look so horrible because they haven't got a license. And it's like, people slagged off Leaf for so long, and Leaf did a better job for years. I was just like, yeah, I can't. I just can't. I'm kind of heartbroken thinking that, like, is this the end for Prism now? Like, is this what's happened to Prism?
I mean,
because Prism is one of them. Prism, like you said before, like Prism, Select, and even maybe put Mosaic in there as well, particularly the stained glass, that sort of stuff. Like, those sort of three on the like lower end are really good for people to get into. Then obviously you got your Flawless, your National Treasures. Like, for them to now change completely, not have licenses, yeah, it's gonna be horrible.
Yeah,
and then I'm looking at tops, like, what are you gonna do to make me stay in the hobby and bring more people into the hobby if your designs are this poor?
Exactly, and I never thought that I'd see the day that you don't see licensed Prism, treasures, even wonderful products. Another favourite of mine being Immaculate. Those on card autos with a patch on, wow, and especially gem cards as well. Yeah, it's going to be strange to look at, but I guess it works in a way with baseball. We see baseball national treasures. It is massively cheaper than the licensed equivalent over at Tops, and that's for a simple reason that you just alluded to it. The jerseys, the team logos, the fact that you can't have an unlicensed card that says Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All it can say is Tampa Bay, or New York Yankees is just New York. So
yeah,
why the secondary market isn't strong for that. The one interesting thing that I've seen, especially with unlicensed Panini products for the baseball, is it's the big time veterans cards that sell really well on the secondary market. A hell of a lot better than big rookies. We've seen that with Wembanyama autos in Topps products. The secondary market isn't very strong. Whereas the unlicensed market for LeBron James, that's really strong. I think it was a Topps Chrome LeBron James autograph that sold for $3,000. That's unlicensed. So
yeah.
But when it comes to unlicensed products, for me, it's all about those massive vets.
Okay. Yeah, obviously I've been on Leaf. I've been selling Leaf cards for over a year now, 2 years. And for me, it was always the prospects because they get people to sign from everyone else. They had they had Caleb Williams, they had CJ Stroud years before this other company. So that was always good. But now obviously they had Mahomes. So I'm keeping my eye on that market. They are cheaper obviously than licensed, but still in that like $1,000 area. But I do need a Mahomes auto in the PC. So it may have to be a Leaf one just for price wise. But hopefully now that he's done this deal with Panini for a year, he'll pump some out, try and cash a cow, and it'll bring some prices down. But we'll see. But yeah, I do need a Mahomes auto.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what the release is. Sorry, not release, but what company it is releasing it.
No, if I like the card, it's my personal collection agenda. So I could have like Leaf. I think Wildcard got his auto as well. So I think Sage had him back in the day as well. So there's a lot of like autos like that. But again, because it's my collection, I want to have a Mahomes auto in there. I've got a signed mini helmet, a signed jersey, need a signed card. I've got his Prism rookie. I've got his Optic rookie, his Prism Silver because obviously it was only silver that year. His Optic Hollow. So I'm kind of happy with the collection. So yeah, just need that auto card. So just tip it over.
You've got it insured. Added it to your insurance policy.
Do you know what? I don't do insurance. It winds me up because people get the car insured and then don't like have health insurance. So I don't have a car, do I? So I have health insurance and that's it. Everything else it can be replaced, but my body can't. So I get it insured for all it's worth.
Oh gosh, I actually did that when I moved a couple of months ago. I actually insured some of it.
Yeah, Ken Griffey. Oh yeah, what's it insured for?
Though the market value is typically between $700 and $800. But I want it insured because it's like people will add a particular caveat to their home insurance or contents insurance for their TV, which is worth. I mean, TVs are super cheap these days.
Serious.
They'll insure a TV or every electricals, but they won't actually. I won't say they won't do, but I think people become complacent and do forget. They won't insure those sentimental items. Those ones that have got to be really specific. And I've seen that. Where people have been broken into and they've had a piece of jewelry that's got a high sentimental value to it, but it's irreplaceable, isn't it? And if it's not you've got no chance. So yeah, the Ken Griffey Jr. Rookie auto is insured with several other cards as well.
So hope you updated it for your kids. Dynamic Dinosaur cards.
I haven't, but
there we go.
They'll be getting added to the insurance policy.
Make sure you do. Right, I've got some questions for you.
Oh,
they're not rapid fire, so it's all right. You got a bit of time. Right, we'll start with this one. I know we talked about it before. Soccer, football, it's your thing. You're a United fan. You were there for glory days, and now you're there for the painful days. Are these current crop of United players worth investing in? You'll see rumours Garnacho could move. Look at what happened to McTominay. Balled out in Serie A. So do you think that is opportunity there to invest in a United player that could move and really ball out in another league? Anthony's done something similar in Serie A, I suppose, as well. He's balled out quite a bit. Or are these just useless? Finished 16th, got beat by Tottenham in the Europa League final.
On the subject of McTominay, Mr. MVP. Yeah.
Yep. Serie A MVP. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wins Serie A. Yeah, what a year.
As a United fan, my advice, and this is advice that I'm giving to myself, but if you are listening, just take it with a large pinch of salt. But, me being realistic, I'd advise anybody not to bother investing in Man United cards at the moment. And unless, I'd say, I mean, I've not bought a Man United card for the best part of 9 months or so now, since actually July last year. But if I was to buy any Man United cards, it would be the Colour Blast from the new Prism. I think there's there must be at least half a dozen Colour Blasts from the new Prism for Man United. A couple of those being Wayne Rooney and David Beckham. So, case hits. I don't think you can go wrong with case hits, especially Panini case hits, which is going to be a little bit odd. Now,
Last year, license right as well.
Yeah, what case hits interest me for Topps. Hidden gems, but the one thing that I don't like about hidden gems as a case hit is the design changes year by year. There should just be some consistency, similar to Color Blast and Downtown. So, I wouldn't bother investing in my cards, especially the rookies in the latest Chrome product. I mean, we've got Breakers who are making a massive song and a dance about a rookie auto with a player called Cheedo Olby. So he's a Danish player. He's a winger and a forward, making a massive thing about it. Like he's on the same level as Kobe Mainoo and Garnacho. And the guy's played 5-6 times for Man United. He's not really offered much. But then, we've seen like Harry Amas, another rookie who Breakers are making a big thing about. I think it's because it is Man United.
I think just Breaker attracts our products because they're just con men.
There's one video that I watched and someone pulled a auto with a youngster at United, rookie card auto with a guy called Ethan Wheatley. The guy's been on loan at Walsall and he's done nothing at Walsall. So yeah, just be careful about what spots you're buying in breaks, people. Solid advice is like buy singles. When it comes to Man United, collect your Man United cards. Don't invest in them unless case hits or incredibly low autos like the likes of Immaculate. Zlatan's got a Colour Blast for Man United.
Okay.
That's just because Zlatan's an absolute legend, and you talk about Metazu, that guy's like quite mythical and rarity. It's very unique. So that's my take on it. I mean, the strangest thing is Man United won't be in any UCC release next season.
Yeah.
Where is City? I mean, you will be. There's not a lot to boast about. But you finish third. You got to let somebody else have their roses, and Liverpool have just done that. And to be fair, I think across the spread of the season, Liverpool have just been consistent. They had a little bit of a dip towards the end of the season, but they just, a prime example of playing beautiful football, just like City did during the treble winning season. They couldn't really put a foot wrong.
Yeah, I think City are in a bit of a weird stage. I think they have a couple of years where they don't win much. I think obviously De Bruyne's gone. It's talking about Bernardo, Edison, John Stones, Kyle Walker, and a lot of them leaving. When you bring in these new players, they have that same mentality to win in the depth of games. And City, sort of known for that, weren't they? They sort of took over Fergie time. We won the Premier League first time in Fergie time. The Aguero goal. We did it. Even just games like to build up momentum. I remember Sterling against Southampton, I think it was, years back. And it was always like the 94th, 95th minute. So I just think when you bring in this whole new team, a whole new mentality, they don't know about playing to the end in a City way of things. Similar to happens United, I think we could be in a bit of a couple of years of toughness, especially if Liverpool continue their brief business of Frimpong brought in, Florian Wirtz looks like he's signing. There's rumours they might be after Gokeres and other stuff. So it could be a tough couple of years for City fans. But like you said, we've had a good 15 years of it now, so can't complain too much.
Exactly, and I mean you'll take a couple of tough years because I think it's going to be a couple of tough decades for Man United. In the club's not being run particularly well, and I'm being kind describing it in that way. Whereas what you've got at Man City, the academy, I mean it's a dynasty, the City Football Group. So you've effectively got those other clubs where you can send players on a season-long loan so they can be embedded in top-flight football. I think Girona is one of your club's owned by the City Football Group. You know, you had a fantastic season in La Liga last year. I know that they've not done necessarily well this season, but still, you know, it's a great way to carve your career, knowing that, you know, you've got the likes of Girona and, you know, a couple other clubs. I think Palmeiro's one, isn't it? I'm sure it is. Who currently play in Serie
Yeah.
Italy, but you know, they're a big club. They've got a massive history. You know, and other clubs around the world. New York City FC, and
Yeah.
I didn't know this until the other day, and it clearly shows that I spend too much time on Wikipedia. But Yokohama Marinas are actually a
City Group.
football group club as well.
Yeah, we're in every continent. I tell you, we do everything apart from Antarctica, everything. But yeah, we're all over the globe. I think we've got a team in India. Obviously, you've got a team in the French league. Not messing about.
And Melbourne City as well.
Yeah, we don't mess about. Everywhere.
Oh,
talk about feeder clubs, eh? I tell you,
well,
yeah, stupid.
That, but you know, it's something that, you know, has been proven to work, you know, over the years, having a feeder club, whether it's one or two, or, you know, with the direction that City are taking. I think every club in the world is eventually going to be a feeder club for City.
It's a smart business, isn't it? Like I said, you can bring in talent that they may not make it in the Prem at City's first team. So they can go out to these teams, put a performance in. We've seen it with Pedro Porro, Douglas Luiz. You know, these are people that didn't, you know, City signed and didn't, you know, never even touched the grass of City. So and you can, you know, cash in big on him. But yeah, it's definitely a proven method, a method to the madness. Question number 2, anyway. Is VFriends going to be the new Disney?
No.
So will it be? No.
It's not going to be the new Disney. People have got to be patient and give it time. I think it could be the new Looney Tunes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. But not Disney. I mean, Disney's a lifestyle, isn't it? The question.
You know, say VFriends is. It's got the apparel now. You know, he said you got the comic books. It could be a lifestyle for a lot of people. All they need is a theme park or two.
Yeah, VFriends world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, knowing Gary Vee, it'll be a virtual theme park, right? It'll be a VR headset thing. You do it from home, nice and easy. No queues, no complaints.
Yeah, why not? You've got to be innovative like that.
Yeah.
Gary Vee is. And the next gen don't want to leave the house. They don't want to walk out the front door. So virtual theme park, maybe.
Not just the gen. Me as well. I'm getting old now. I don't want to leave the house too much either.
No, home comforts.
Yeah.
Like
look at my fireplace. Why do I leave this? Got a beautiful fireplace here. Just look at this place. I don't leave this.
Yeah, you definitely upgraded. I want to know what the secret is.
I say buy more sports cards, sell more sports cards.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a secret: buy more, sell more. You have a house like this.
It's rainy day money. That's the way I look at it. And you know, if you can sell sports cards and, you know, take your family out for a nice meal or day out, or, you know, buy your child, you know, a new pair of trainers, or even yourself some new shoes, you know, that's what it's all about. That's what I love about these little material goods that we've got. But you know, people need to be really careful about how they're spending money on sports cards. You know, I mean, I used to break on a regular basis, as you're well aware, and I know that you've had an experience of breaking as well, but breaking isn't where it's at. You know, those success stories, you know, are few and far between. So, you know, I know that I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but, you know, I just think it's massively important that you need to stick to a budget. And if you don't stick to that budget, something's got to give. And if you've got to get rid of some of your cards that you thought that you keep forever, you know, so be it. You know, it's a dog eat dog world out there.
Yeah.
That's even in the collectible space, especially for breakers as well. You know, and that's not me being dismissive of breakers. I think there's some fantastic ones out there. You know, some fantastic people who are really salt of the earth, men and women. You know, they've got good intentions, but do your research, guys. You know, don't overstretch yourself and buy into brakes when you've not got the money. It's as simple as that. And I don't talk from personal experience. I talk about the experiences that I had personally prior to collecting cards, where my addictive personality saw me get into a lot of trouble financially, which thankfully, I've not been in that position for, a good 5 years or so. But no, VeeFriends, that's the one thing that I need to mention, that, even that, because I've got an addictive personality, I've had to call the line and think, right, I spent enough on those parallels now. Those parallels will come and go. You've never got to wait another 12 months or 5 years for one to appear. And that's what people need to realise. Stop buying shit and stop buying into brakes that are selling you shit. And I know that I'm being very candid there, but stick to your flagship releases, stick to a budget, and stick to the breakers who are reputable, who have got good intentions. Mic drop.
Mic drop. I'm going to pick up the mic. Here we go. Just don't buy into brakes. Buy the single card you want. It's a lot easier. Buy a single card you want. That's what I do. I never buy into brakes. Buy a single card I want. And sometimes you have to make sacrifices. It's like you said there. I've had to sacrifice. I've pretty much said, if I go to a London show, for instance, it's £100 on the train, £200 to stay over. Straight away, it's £200. I'm not even in London. I'm in Manchester. I just booked my hotel and booked my train. Get there, food, drinks, maps, table for the weekend. That's a couple £100. It's £90 what, a table per day? Like, come on. So I could be at home and buy something I actually really wanted. So I can get them a Homes rookie. I can get this sort of thing. So it's like, you have to sacrifice, or I can put it away and I said do something with it. So it all depends on you, but yeah, you have to sort of be in your budget. And like I said, when climbing onto whatnot, it's just, I don't know if Fanatics have got any sort of clear play Klarna deals going on, whatever, where you can spread the cost. I hope not, because it just breeds some sort of degen thing. But I said it before in a podcast, this is where we're going, unfortunately. They'll tell you, these big companies will tell you this big lie that, we really want the kids involved, it's the future of the kids. It's not. They want degen people to gamble, because gamble is what's going to pay the bills for them, not the kids. Kids aren't the ones out there buying these products. It's the adults. They want adults to just degen and waste money. Don't get twisted. These companies are liars. End of. There's your mic drop.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong. I know it ruffle feathers some people listening to this, but money only goes so far. It only stretches so far. And I had someone only, I'd say about 5-6 weeks ago now. So I made reference to there should be a gambling warning when it comes to the likes of Whatnot, on Fanatics Live, because effectively that's what it is. It's no different to when you bet on the horses. There's odds. That just like the same thing. There's odds of hitting certain parallels. There's odds of hitting case hits or inserts, or even like big rookies. There's always odds applied to these hobby boxes. And I had one person who wanted to remain anonymous. I just put the question out there: should it come with a gambling warning or a little bit of advice? When you log into the app. And one fella said that he'd spent 5k on Whatnot between January and March. He kept it away from his fiance, so they were due to get married, and his fiance actually split up with him as a result of finding out what money he'd spent on Whatnot. So, we need to be realistic here. People need to wake up and smell the coffee, and just understand that even though breaking can be fun and it is great, that the feeling of the chase is great. When it comes off, even if it's not kind of high value, it's quite fulfilling. But there are consequences to the money that you spend on your hobby. Whether it's card collecting, playing golf, or even in the shoe game as well. The shoe game's expensive, because I've been there in the past. Something's got to give, and you don't want that something's got to give to be your livelihood, or your significant other, or your home. I do wonder, whether there's going to be some kind of case study or inquiry in years to come. Not necessarily with Whatnot, but maybe with Whatnot. That's the way that gambling websites and apps do protect themselves because they have got those, warnings, and they've actually got those terms and conditions and advice about you are not guaranteed to win anything on this accumulator or the NBA game 6. How many rebounds and points that your favorite player is going to get. It very well could be an inquiry waiting to happen. Especially if somebody takes a life or loses the house, and all avenues go back to whatnot. It could be quite frightening awakening.
Oh yeah, can see the Channel 4 documentary now. Yeah, it would probably be a young person because obviously there don't seem to be anyone can get onto that nowadays. I remember that video not long ago. The kid on there trying to sell like penny sleeves for like £5 or whatever. I was just like, how's this kid got onto this app? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
But no, just simplify the hobby. Collect the cards you like. Don't overstretch yourself. That's the reason why we all either got introduced to the hobby or entered the hobby. Entry level was picking up cards that we enjoyed, and some of my favourite cards in the first few months of getting involved in the hobby were base cards. And that's
all been there.
Yeah, you start somewhere, don't you? It's just like if you started playing football, you go and run out with some hand-me-down boots or some snide 30 quid boots from Sports Direct, but you get a knack of it and you get a feel for it, and it's like, yeah, I want the Vaporflies that cost 200 quid. You all start somewhere.
Definitely. Next question.
Go for it.
You can only have one company making you products for the rest of your life. Topps or Panini? Who are you choosing?
I know you won't. You'll give a different answer to this, but Topps for me. Everything in my PC, I've come to a decision because I'm applying simplicity to my life again. But every card that is in my PC, I've got to display, which I've done that. So I've got approximately 20 cards. I've got another 30 to 40 cards put away, which I've come to the realization that, and I've accepted that I'm going to sell them, because if I don't display them, I'm going to sell them. So every card that I've got on the display, with the exception of one, which is a 1958 Barrett and Cole boxing card, is Topps. So that's where my loyalty lies. I think that's more so because I collect baseball primarily. So Topps have had the license for baseball for over 60 years, and the other.
But if Panini had the license, would you not prefer those cards?
Of course.
Prism. That's what I'm saying. So if you had one company and they can make your cards the rest of your life, and you're still choosing Topps. You think Topps are the best designs? Devil's advocate.
That's really tough. So if Topps lost the license, in fact, if let's say in a parallel universe, Topps and Panini had the license for baseball, so they both had the license for baseball.
Yeah.
Just because of the case hit. So that's your answer. So you changed my thought process there and answer. Just ultimately because case hits, Panini, they are beautiful. Select, yeah, it's beautiful, especially the silver in Select. Wow, yeah, the creme de la creme. I know it's not even a numbered or a parallel, but Select silvers, you're getting a banging rookie. It's going for big bucks, isn't it? As simple as that. I presume yours will be Panini as well.
Yeah, Panini. I think Prism looks good throughout the years. I can't think of that many bad years of Panini throughout the years of Prism. Select, obviously now Mosaic's coming out of its own products in the past few years. Yeah, I said National Treasure is flawless. For me, Panini just has better designs.
Yeah, and just like on the subject of Mosaic, the Peacock parallel. Wow.
Stained glass as well. I like stained glass.
Yeah, stained glass.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, Panini has better designs.
Yeah.
I just think no matter what sport it is, if we only got Panini products, I'd be happy. Whereas so with Tops, I'm just not at the moment. I'm just not happy about it. So I'm just not looking forward to it.
Case closed. Yeah, you are right. Definitely.
I like that one. Not fourth final. One more after this, but 2026, will there be more breakers or less? So a whole year away. Do you think this year with Fanatics ramping up, Whatnot potentially trying to bounce back, or are they just going to admit defeat? Are we going to see more breakers, less breakers? We're going to see like more companies but less breakers, so just like 4 big breakers and that's it, no small breakers, or are we going to see like everyone trying to be breaker again? Because Fanatics will want you to be a breaker.
Whatnot will be like cattle farming. There'll be a lot of breakers. Whether it's going to be more breakers, I don't know. But with Whatnot at the moment, it's like trying to find the least bruised banana in a supermarket. Someone that you trust, because there's too many breakers. I don't think it's reflective of where the market is. No, it definitely isn't. Again, I'll go back to my point about card shows, the calendar being congested at times. There's only so much money in the room, and the same applies with Whatnot. When it comes to Fanatics, definitely less breakers. I know that there's people with Fanatics exclusive breakers. I'm not going to delve into that subject. Just ultimately because out of respect, because there are a few people who are Fanatics exclusive breakers on that breaker program who are really good people. They obviously there for good reasons. There's a few others on there which they've got that gig because the face fits, or I just I scratch my head and think, how have you got on that breaker program because you are a bad person? And if you're not a bad person, you're a sad person. The vibes aren't there. What you see in person isn't what you see on screen when they're breaking. It's sort of like they're a masquerade, so they're putting on an act, which doesn't offer much transparency for me. But no, Fanatics, I think it will get better. eBay Live, from the insider info that I've got, which I can't share on here, is the people who have who will be selling on eBay Live. So eBay Live at the moment, and I hope it stays this way, will only be for selling single cards and ripping ships. So there's no breaking on there. For me, that's intelligent, because it's gambling, isn't it? I mean, imagine the uproar. So there's 5 sports sellers and 5 TCG sellers at the moment for eBay Live, from all accounts and from what I know of these people. Some of them are businesses that they are, again, good people. So, I'm well behind what eBay Live are doing. I think it'll be a massive success story. I mean, if someone's got an iPhone or an Android phone, the likelihood is you've got the eBay app on your phone.
Oh, yeah.
The market and the eyes on eBay Live, which is actually incorporated within the eBay app, it's going to be massive. It's going to be a massive success. So I think there's going to be more breakers on Whatnot next year. I do believe that Fanatics Live and eBay Live are going to limit the number of people who can sell on both of those platforms, which for me is good news. You don't want it to get flooded with too many people. You don't want too much choice. It's like when you go into a supermarket. I mean, why do you need 10 fucking brands of baked beans? 2 or 3 max. The more variety in life, the more complicated life gets. Keep it simple.
Sounds like we're living in a dictatorship. You can have Heinz beans, no other. Oh, that's fine for me. Some people like to try Branston. Some people are, some people penny pinching. They want to get the basic ones. Come on.
I'm open to Branston beans and Heinz beans, but anything beyond that, it's like that with breakers. It's like when you've got a dozen breakers on Whatnot, all doing case breaks of the new UCC Topps Chrome. It's like, man, which way do you turn? How much time investing on deciding which breaker is the best one, whose break you should actually get involved in? It's like,
Yeah.
That time is money. As simple as that. You know,
Who-
but
who the cheapest is.
yeah, I
That's
mean,
the problem.
yeah, I mean, I've got many viewpoints on Fanatics. I think they are good for the hobby. I think there's too many releases, but Fanatics Live in time, I think it will be great. And eBay Live, you know, I've got a lot of positive, you know, feelings around that. I think it's going to be, you know, a fantastic platform that you could just log on to the eBay app and actually, you know, like look at single cards. So I don't know if you notice this. So if you make a search for, let's say, for, you know, for your say, Patrick Mahomes, Panini Prism 22-23, it'll come up and it'll list the individual items up for auction or buy now, but actually also have the eBay Live listings as well, with a time and a date of when that stream is going to go live, which I think is really clever.
Yeah, that's good. I've noticed the live button and light on the app when I've been on it, but I've never not been on one yet, not seen anyone's live. But to be fair, my account is an American account. I don't use eBay UK because for me, I'm usually buying American sports. Americans, I need to get it quicker and sooner. And yeah, so it's America for me. I hardly touch cards, to be honest with you. It's a buy in America, goes to American Locker, goes to PSA, gets sold. Automated.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe drug dealer there. I don't even touch it.
You know, they say, follow the money. Last but not least question. Fanatics Fest, does it come to the UK or Europe or not at all? I see New York, then he cancelled delivered to. Was it Pittsburgh and Florida? Then it back in New York.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was mixed reviews because people were saying obviously it was just a show out, wasn't tables and this and the other, and half empty. This year they've put in more dealer tables to try to compete more with national.
Yeah, it's really tough. Selfishly, I want a Fanatics Fest in the UK or even Europe. I mean, look at Fanatics Fest NYC coming up. You know,
the lineup.
Yeah, the WWE stars going there. I mean, like Tiffany Stratton and Cody Rhodes. I mean, I'm massive into my WWE now, more so for nostalgic reasons, and you know, the fact that it's easily accessible on Netflix is great as well. So, you know, I'm watching that, you know, every time it's on, you know, SmackDown, Raw, NXT, I'm all over it. And, you know, I've even picked up many of the cards. So, for selfish reasons, yeah, it'd be great because it'd just be, you know, again, using that term, easy accessible to get access to the big stars, athletes, ex-athletes, because the shows that we've seen athletes turn up to, you know, especially in the UK, it's usually retired football players because, you know, the football calendar, you know, the season's heavily, well, it's just busy, isn't it? In the number of games, you are having a successful season. In what was it, Man City treble winners? Was it 8 games, 84 games that you played? You know, it's like as an athlete, you know, I know it's really difficult to get them to turn up at an event because the window outside of the season is so small. And also, you know, we've got to remember that, you know, football is, you know, a hot property when it comes to collecting in the UK. Not like the US. I mean, they've got the accessibility of, you know, hockey, baseball, American football, basketball, WWE. So that's like 5. I mean, MLS, if you want to include that as well. And, you know, even golf we've seen recently. You know, they are sport for choice. So it would be nice to have Fanatics Fest just so we can have that accessibility of big stars because Michael Rubin, you know, he's his network of people who he knows and, you know, the access that he can get to the stars is, you know, fantastic. You know, that's why I think it'd be great for Fanatics in the future. I know it's very early days, but selflessly, I think it would have an impact on some of the shows in Europe if they made a habit of it. If it were just like a one-off, so it's a one-off, then we ain't coming back for like 3-4 years. I think it could work, but if they make a regular habit of it, so it's like right, April we've got Fanatics Fest London, then May we've got Fanatics Fest, you know, Berlin, in like August, we've got Fanatics Fest Paris. I think that's where it could do more harm than good. I'm just all about getting accessibility to the stars. Outside of that, I don't think we really need it, especially in the UK.
Okay.
Of solid shows who offer a lot of diversity. I'm no pressure, Harry and the team at London. Drop Ruben a line and get him to give you a few his athletes turn up. You just imagine that Tom Brady at London Card Show. We're saying imagine something to that level. It could happen.
Never know. You never know. I think now that they've got the store over here, obviously Tom's come to his own store now. Just he opened. Just Michael say to him, "Hey, listen, we're looking at Europe and UK. Why don't you bring a card vault by Tom Brady over here?" And
yeah, I know it's never even crossed my mind, but there's something out there. I mean, as much as I love London, I love the London Card Show. Give the space to another city. Whether it's Manchester or Birmingham. There's
Manchester.
There's a hotbed of collectors.
Yeah, Manchester or Birmingham, better place for sure.
Well, it is, man, and
yes.
You can get a bottle of water for less than £1. So
a bottle of water.
the rent space is a lot cheaper than London.
Exactly. Manchester. Just another reason why Manchester makes sense, right? Manchester makes sense for so many more reasons. Not only for, like I said, for cost of living, so your staff are cheaper, your land, your rental's cheaper, but also you've got one of the best football teams we've had in the last 20 years. Man City right here. You do team set, you got Pep Guardiola, you get a team down there because you've got a top license with them, so you can get a team there.
Exactly.
Accessible to the stars. Accessible to the stars.
Video that I watched some time ago. So it was a guy who was interviewing people in the US, sort of like these content creators who just ask people questions in the street, which they just pester people. Some of the reaction videos when it doesn't go well are great, but this particular video, this guy is asking people just passing by, so people who live in the US, what city do the football club Man United or Manchester City play in? And most of the responses was London. Which so it makes me think that do a lot of people think that Manchester United, Manchester City play in London, or is it just that because London is under the microscope so much that people can't name or list another city?
It's all they know.
Out of London.
Yeah, having been to America, it's all they know. If you tell me from England, did you say London?
Yeah.
No. Or I got what else? I got Edinburgh. Edinburgh? I'm like, that's in Scotland. I know. It's like that's in Scotland. It's called Edinburgh, but I'm not gonna do you for how you pronounce things. It might be how you read it. I don't know, but yeah, that's on them. Edinburgh, and you don't know that because of the Harry Potter tour, apparently. I'm just like, I know. I was just like, no, Manchester. Manchester. I was like, yeah, never mind.
Maybe that's the next thing that Fanatics will bring us. Topps Chrome Harry Potter.
Yeah, who does it at the moment? Who does Potter cards?
So is it
Kakao? Yeah, it's something like that. It's one of them companies, isn't it?
Yeah.
They look good. But yeah, I do think we need some. Who did the original set? It wasn't Upper Deck, was it? It was.
I can't remember now.
It might be. Was it Upper Deck? Yeah, and they go for big money. That OG set, that's a big money. So yeah, can you imagine a Chrome? Again, it was a new TV series starting next year now, 2026.
Yeah, there is. But
yeah, maybe.
I've just I mean, Topps Chrome Harry Potter. I mean, imagine having on-card autos by like Emma Watson and Daniel Radcliffe. That'd be insane.
Yeah, well, again, there's a triple. It's a triple. What isn't it a triple? Watson, Grint, and Radcliffe.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's a triple auto. I think it goes to like ridiculous money. Ridiculous money.
Rupert Grint as well.
Yeah, like that's again, it's the child in it. It's what we remember because it's from our childhood sort of thing. So yeah, it's big money in that. But I do think maybe
You know, I'm going to be selfish here that they don't release Topps Chrome Harry Potter, because my daughter would be all over that. She's around 6 months ago, she entered a Harry Potter phase, so it's everything Harry Potter at the moment. Like, you know, she's got the replica wands, which aren't cheap.
Jeez, yeah.
Queenie Goldstein, which is a character from Fantastic Beasts, I'm sure it is. So yeah, it's mad. But I mean, I'd love that. Topps Chrome Harry Potter.
Sounds like it'd be very expensive for you though.
Oh yeah, bring it on. I'll have to sell all my dynamic dinosaurs.
Upset the boy to make the daughter pleased. That's how it is. You never please both at the same time. You're always one or the other. Pick your favorite.
Yeah. Anyhow, I want to tip my hat to you. 100 episodes in. I know this will be 101.
101, room 101, as they say here.
Triple digits. Oh, well done.
101. Thank you. 101 that out, eh?
Yeah.
101 out.
Let's see.
Yeah. This is I suppose so. Yeah. I think I've missed 1 week. I think in 102 weeks. Yeah, I think it's 1 week.
I think you're doing a good job, and you know, I just think that you are. It's very raw and real with what you say. You know, you don't sit on the fence about any subjects that you discuss, or whether you got guests on. You don't sit on the fence, but I believe you're doing it in a really diplomatic way, where you're not having an impact on individuals, or you're not calling specific people out. Because we have seen that in the hobby recently, which, you know, I'm not an advocate of that. You know, if you're impacting someone's livelihoods or their lifestyle, for me, you know, I think I think it says a lot about you as a person.
Yeah.
Like, hold other people up against the fire rather than yourselves. And I do believe that it shows a level of insecurity as well. But, you know, the way that you've approached the podcast, you know, it's real, but it's also informative as well. It's not you giving an opinion because it's somebody else. It's actually come from the heart. So, you know, that's where my compliments start. I just think you've done a great job, so keep it up.
Oh, well, thank you. Now, again, I think I said at the end of last year, beginning of this year, when we've been, or maybe before, you know, I can't keep saying it, you know, I want more people in the hobby, and just let them fall into some sort of trap. It's like there's proven ways to be in a hobby and stay in a hobby, and let's face it, the more money you keep wasting, the more time you're being, I can't keep wasting money here. So I try to educate people in some respects, and I don't try and throw certain people under the bus. I just try and call out the bullshit that they're feeding you. But I think I'm quite lucky because, you know, I don't have the world audience, but the audience I have are very, one, receptive to information, and two, they're smart enough as well themselves. And I think they're just glad that someone else is sort of saying the same thing they're saying, so they don't feel like they're just the grumpy old man or whatever in the room. So I think it's kind of cool that the audience, again, that's why I say it's their pod, because if it wasn't for them, it wouldn't go on. I wouldn't be needing to talk about it, because, you know, the world would be a great place, but it's not. We live in this weird space where they tell you one thing and then try and force you into like gambling, and it's like to way to ruin a hobby. Way to ruin a hobby, right?
A hobby be about you shouldn't gamble on any hobby.
Serious.
I'm against that. You know, that's how we lose people. We don't want to lose people. We want to actually gain people and build a really colourful and inclusive community, because that's what it is. Most people in the hobby are good people, but you know, if you've got any hobby and you've got very little to show for it, for the money you've invested in it, it's no hobby, you know. And that's something that I've learned, you know. I mean, you know, it's not a humble brag at all, but you know, the money that I've been able to spend on breaks, but I've had little to show for it. So that's where I thought, right, you know, I need to check myself before I wreck myself. I've acknowledged this money, I could have spent it on a handful of massive cards that I would have adored for the rest of my living days, whereas I've not got that to show for it. Whereas there are people who, you know, are falling into a hell of a lot of debt. You know, they can't afford the other things in life. They can't afford to put a roof over their head, or they're worried about the upcoming rent or mortgage payment, or how to feed themselves or feed the kids. When it gets to that level, that's like, whoa, you know, you need to stop But you know, for me, it's ultimately all about simplifying it, enjoying what you collect, and not have anyone in your ear telling you should pick this up. You know, we've got a palatial Real Madrid set, or we've got a team set of FC Timbuktu, and you should get hold of it because there's a rookie auto in there that, you know, everyone's going to chase and everyone's going to break. And, you know, breaking is great, collecting is great, but, you know, there's got to be limits to how much you can actively get involved in it. I love card collecting, and, you know, the clarity that I've got, and, you know, especially since I stopped breaking, you know, near 4 months ago, you know, it's been massively refreshing. I've actually invested that time into, you know, just putting my feet up on the couch and, you know, watching TV, or, you know, being more active, or actually being in the zone and being there, you know, when I'm around other people, not thinking I'm breaking this product in 3 days time, and I'm thinking about the checklist and I'm checking the checklist. So, you know, it's ultimately about enjoying your hobby and not making it feel like it's a burden or like you've got to make money from it, because it's probably the only hobby where it can become money orientated, and that can become the focus. Getting back
100%.
on, you know, you just keep it up, be a man of the people.
Man of the people, not above but equal. Hey, for the greater good, I walk amongst the evil. Hey,
exactly, the Pied Piper of card collecting.
But yeah, what you were saying there is spot on. You know, it's becoming a lot for a lot of people. It's not becoming a hobby; it's a side hustle.
Yeah.
You know, I was saying the other day, I've got a video I'm working on. It's pretty much done, and the title is "You're not a collector. You're a day trader." Because they're literally just going in a break and listing it on Facebook. The pictures, it's a screenshot. The breaker still holding the card. I just pulled this. How much are you going to give me for it? I'm like, you're just day trading. That's what you do right now. You putting money here. Whatever card comes out, you put it on a Facebook group, try to sell it. You don't even have this thing yet. This physical thing you don't even have. You don't know what conditions or anything. There's a screenshot which is blurry as anything that you send over into this group. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And they swear they've been a hobby for years. Oh, I've been in for years though. All right, pal. All right, pal. I think it's a weird thing because the hobby is in sort of like the best position it could be in. Because I've been in collecting cards for a long time. I was very blessed, I suppose, to have my local card fair at my secondary school. So every time it's every 2.5, it was like 2 months, maybe 3 months, depending on when it fell with school. On the Sunday there, so I lived across the road pretty much from my school. So every Sunday it was on. Saturday or Sunday it was on because you just mix up as well. I'd go across and I was always just immersed in that sort of stuff. And it was a different sort of culture because I was a kid and it was just old people. You know, I'm not going to be around, but it was older people selling vintage cards. That's what it was. It was what I was interested in. It was just what was there. It was nice. Did have some Premier League stuff, that sort of stuff, but nothing major. And now we're in a stage where, like I said, you have card shows that are getting at 1% better each time. And you get to interact with people that's similar age, like-minded. I want to do I want to interact with people so much, and it's that interaction that you didn't really have 5-10 years ago, and now it's such a big thing. It's such a social hub for people. It's for some people, it is like a holiday for some people. Like I've been to the card shows, and you see them out, and it's like you can see it's like their release and everything. It's like it's so good to see people just have that space of pure happiness and joy, knowing that you don't have to worry about anything, dude. There's no fear, there's no threat. It's just your happy place surrounded by people all in the same things you're into.
Yeah, it's a safe space as well, and that's what I love about card shows. I will attend the ones that I truly believe in that offer a lot. Because there's only so many weekends that we can give up. And I know that you've alluded to that in the past. There's a lot of other things that I'm interested in and that I enjoy doing outside of card collecting. I'm not going to reel those off. It's not a podcast about my other hobbies and interests. Those are very personal to me. They are other outlets where I get a lot of joy and a lot of clarity and a positive outcome from. But for me, card collecting, and just the same as it should be for other people, is it should be a form of enjoyment. and nothing else. That's what a hobby is about. If a hobby is bringing you stress, it ain't no hobby. As simple as that. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. And yeah, on for the three-peat. Am I the first person who's come on 3 times?
Yeah.
Wow. Going back to back to back to back. Let's call me Mr. Chicago.
Mr. Chicago. So now you've got to do a 3-peat again. 2 3-peats you got to do.
Yeah.
Then you're onto something.
Yeah. Give us until 2030. I'll get a few more appearances.
I think we get it done before then. I think we get it done before then. Yeah. I think we get it done 2026 area. I think we can tie it in with MCC, tie it in with stuff that's going to hobby, because you're someone like me that's not going to just allow people to bullshit other people in hobby. So if I got something to talk about, you like, yeah, I can jump in on that too. I've got my say on that. So
yeah, and it's evident that I've got a lot to talk about. Of course, but no, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. Just keep it up.
No, thank you for coming on again. I'm sure people have missed, your pod time with Lee. It was, I think it kept a lot of people going. It wasn't like COVID times, but I think in a space where our podcasts, they're not like we're in abundance, are we?
Exactly.
So to have that podcast was definitely a breath of fresh air, and it was yeah. I think a lot of people are missing out on that. So maybe it's tempt you to come back into it. Maybe you can tempt you back into your podcast days.
Never say never. It's just that me and Lee are very busy people. I mean, we still see each other. We still talk with each other a lot. We've just picked up tickets for WWE, which comes to Manchester in August. So that's something that I'm ecstatic about. Lee's watched WWE live. I never have. So I'm going to be like a proper big kid, like decked out head to toe, full of John Cena merch.
Can't see me.
Never say never, but one thing that I will add is each sports card podcast offers something different, and that's what I really liked. Like listening to your podcast and other podcasts, even podcasts, that are based in stateside. Am I all right to give a little bit of a shout out to one podcast, which is I won't say it's relatively new, but it's absolutely tip top. Very similar to yours. It's very informative and very real.
Yeah, I just edit it out. It's fine.
No, that's bad.
I'm joking.
It's called the Ball Card Podcast.
Ball Card Podcast.
Fantastic, mate.
Who's hosting that?
I couldn't even tell you. It's just two guys. Yeah, it's just really informative. About like how to enjoy your hobby, what to collect. Like tips on vending and where they think the hobby's heading. In similar vein to yourself. So if anything, you could say that you've inspired them, because I think it's been going for about 6 months or so. But I like those kind of podcasts. Whether it's sports cards or elsewhere. If people are being real and authentic, those are my kind of people.
I think it all comes down to the guy we started off with, Gary Vee. I think he, influenced on being authentic, didn't he? And giving, the giving. I think that's one thing I try and do quite a lot is give the whole, jab hook, as he says, and you just keep giving people good stuff, man, and keep giving the good information out there, because there's a lot of bad. So I try and help as much as I can, as I can do. I enjoy his hobby more than anyone. It's given me a lot, so the least I can do is help the next lot come through. All I can say.
Long may it prevail for both of us.
Tell you what. Any last little tidbits? Obviously, we know you have MCC coming up. Any dates further down the line for MCC, or are we just?
No, just watch this space. 12th of July. I won't say that tickets are limited, but they are flying now. We've only got 6 weeks away now. Just short of 6 weeks at the time this episode goes out. Further down the line, again, like I said earlier, it's about not biting off more than what you can chew. There's talks about expanding, but I've got to be careful with that. It's a very, because it's such a precious thing that originated as an idea, the Manchester CardCon, you know, I'm very careful about what the next steps are for it, but I'm really excited for it. You know, it's a work in progress. You don't, you know, I don't ever want to get to the position where I've got the final and finished product, because I don't want that arrival fallacy to kick into place where I feel like I've achieved everything that it's set out to be. It's constantly evolving and developing. But yeah, there's a couple of exciting things that lie ahead. Maybe next time I'm out on that, I'll be able to announce that. So just watch this space. And if you've not picked up a ticket, I'm not going to beg you, but you know, I believe that it is, you know, a fantastic place to be at, the Manchester CardCon. We've got a good variety of vendors. You know, nothing but good vibes, and what you see is what you get. You know, and the feedback speaks volumes as well. That people who have vended at the Manchester Card Convention have a fairly good day in terms of engagement and sales, and you know, that's the reason why, you know, we have a lot of the same vendors coming back, and a lot of the same sponsors that at the MCC, because you know, without them, you know, it wouldn't happen. You know, so I'm extremely grateful for them believing in what originated as an idea and has come to life. And yeah, I'm excited for the future. It's yeah, it's a good form of escapism for me, and it keeps me focused and keeps me on my feet.
I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Again, I would second what you said there about MCC. I think it is. Obviously, I'm going to be biased because it's on my doorstep. It's the home show, as you say. But yeah, I think it's a great space for collectors to come, and I think it's also a good space to bring new people up. So if you've got a friend or your family member that you just sort of into it but not really into it, it's a great place for them to come, because it's not going to get overcrowded and be squeezing, having backpacks pushing into them. Putting space just to breathe in there, absorb it, take it all in, and not be overwhelmed. And yeah, I definitely it's a great space for people to go to. So
Thank you.
shout out to that. But no, thanks for coming on Guest 101. Well, not Guest 101, but on Channel 1, episode 101. The repeat was accomplished. Make sure you're following Rainy. Make sure you're following MCC. And we are over and out. Till next time.
Oh,
Peace.